gentlemen, or good afternoon, depending on what we are. So this is the first time Geoschemes task group signs up for those working sessions. And this project has been going on for several years now, but not as fast as we all wanted because everybody is involved in a thousand other things. So this was at first an interest group back in 2021, and then we were promoted to task group in November 2023. And our goal is producing a coherent geographical scheme useful for managing occurrence and distribution data for all species. So this project is twofold because actually we have a terrestrial domain task group led by Francisco Pondo of Botanical Gardens of Madrid, who is leading a project that has a very long history back to 1992. So it's already a well-known standard, and he's just updating. And then the marine domain, which was initiated by Nicolas Bailly, and I myself, Serge Goffas, so I am a university person, but mostly I'm in this because I'm deeply involved in the World Register of Marine Species, and I'll later explain how this resulted in imagining this project and putting it forward. And Britt Lonville, who is right now on maternity leave, so is not with us today, is a data curator in an important website called Marine Regions at the Flanders Marine Institute, and we'll see that this part of the project is also essential. There was a fourth person also from Vlies and from Marine Region, Leonard Shepard, but he stepped down from the project. He left Vlies, so he's no longer involved. So the why two projects? Why two task groups and not one? Well, the terrestrial domain task group is involved in updating and expanding the existing terrestrial scheme, so the World Geographic Scheme for recording plan distributions, and it's up to countries are changing, and there are punctual updates, and also put formatting this into something that would be more acceptable today as a TADWIC standard. So it's a much more limited task than the marine domain task group, which is starting from scratch. So we aim to establish a worldwide set of geographic units for recording marine biota, which would be parallel to the terrestrial one, but this we have to make it from scratch. So my presentation is aimed to present the goals and achievement of the Marine Task Group, show how we are working close together in continuity with the Terrestrial Task Group, and I would like to take the opportunity to seek advice on some specific issue which both groups are faced. So the Terrestrial Task Group is working on something that's already quite functional. There is this world scheme for recording plant distributions, which is used in many places. And to start with the World Flora Online, which produces very nice display maps. And this has also been used for things other than plant. This is a screenshot of the distributions of land snails we have rescued from the defunct Fauna Europaea in an extension of worms that's called Mollusca Bay. So something quite in use, and we needed something similar for the sea. So my move into this started within what we call the distributions working group among editors of the World Register of Marine Species. I suppose all of you know or have heard of it. It's an authoritative classification and catalog of marine names. Uh, it's very good for the taxonomic backbone for the moment. It's awful for the display of distributions, and we needed to do something about it. Uh, People were entering distribution data with geographical unit, the Atlantic or the northern end of the pier at Ostende. So it was a complete mix of different scales and even land-based units which were used. People just said Canada or United States. Well, this displays, of course, as land. So we needed something better, and we did it. So what we have achieved so far in those 4 years of activity of the interest group and task group is a detailed proposal with level 4 through level 1. So it's really taking the format of the plan distribution scheme, and the number of units is also comparable. So as level 4, which is the basic recording units, we have 536 proposed units compared to something like 600 in the land scheme. And for the level 1 units, well, on the land, it's the continents, and for us, it's the oceans, so Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, Arctic, and Southern Oceans. And at level 2, we are trying to fit into known, well-recognized bioregions. So this is taken from the realms of a scheme that's called marine ecoregions of the world, which why didn't we take marine ecoregions of the world instead of doing something new? Well, because they basically ignore uh, country borders. And one of the strengths of the existing terrestrial scheme is that it is absolutely constrained to political borders, and this meets the needs of end users. I mean, we want national checklists. We have people who are responsible for environmental management. Uh, they don't want data which span several countries. They want to know what's in our place and what's what. So one of the one of the rationales we took is that even if a country is small, well, Andorra in the land plant distribution is a country. Well, uh, Costa Rica is small, but it has 2 units, one in the Pacific and one in the Atlantic, because we need to be detailed at this level. And what about very large countries like Brazil, like China, like the United States? Well, there we need to subdivide them. And this we had, I'm not going into details, but we are also using marine ecoregions of the world to subdivide large countries, but we're always bound at country level. And then what are we doing with the high seas? Well, for what I said is good for the coastal area. So basically, the economic exclusive zone, 200 nautical miles from shore, is what we take as basic recording unit. For the high seas, it's much outside national jurisdiction. So we are using a more physiographic approach that is taking as basic recording units the major sea bottom features, elevations, and basins. And this is not starting from scratch. There has been an initiative by the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of UNESCO, and that was refined in a paper by Watling et al. 2013, which is proposed a zonation of the world deep sea, basically following oceanographic and physiographic criteria, and the threshold between abyssal and bathyal they put at 3,500. So there are shape files for everything like that. So we didn't go further and use this as the basis. So here we come to the core of the project. There is no question about that we needed that, but one of our products is a large spreadsheet where the proposal is detailed. So the maps are good for visualizing and for showing around what we want to define as units, but the spreadsheet contains the detail of the proposal, and this is also posted on the task group's GitHub website. So basically, we are following strictly the format of the land plan distribution scheme. So level 4 units have what we would call a local name in this context, which is 3 letters and slash and two more letters. So if we wanted to be independent from the terrestrial scheme, we had to put digits into the code. So it's now alphanumerical for the simple reason that if the land level 1 units were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with continents, uh, uh, we don't have any 1-digit numbers left. So we are using letters for the level 1. So it's A for Atlantic, P for Pacific, and so on. And this bears on all the code. So the important thing is that there is no identical code of a level 4 unit through both terrestrial and marine proposal. Then the label, which is supposed to be a word or short phrase, user-friendly, well, it's something like Cape Verde easy or Angola Basin or whatever. So it's a short description. We don't use easy when it's not obvious that we need it. We can't use the country name alone because then it would overlap with the terrestrial. So we're using well, Cape Verde would be the land country, and Cape Verde easy would be the marine part. So where do we have problems? Where really I would like some advice is the story about definition. So the definition is supposed to be an English phrase uh, that would be enough to recognize the concept. But uh, how do you define in words a geographical area? So uh, we had some discussions with Francisco Pando and with Steve Baskov, who has an experience with, well, he is the lead author of the standard handbook. So, and we were thinking about referring to external sources. So the possibility would be, so Steve, we're thinking of things like Getty Thesaurus of Geographic Names, which is recognized external sources. But for marine units, it's not very helpful. I mean, it's just a centroid. They don't have every one of the units they have. We need, they don't have EEZs. So same for other, I mean, we spoke about Wikidata, but it's the same problem. So possible solution to this is a repository that is also hosted by the Flanders Marine Institute at the same place as the World Register of Marine Species, which is called Marine Regions. And this Marine Regions website holds an enormous amount of fact sheets for all kinds of geographic units, each of them documented with a source, each of them documented with a map. The map can be downloaded in a variety of formats, including shapefiles, images, and so on. So this is where Brit Lonville comes into the picture because she is the curator of this data set. And this has the advantage also that we can customize and we can create more entries if we need some particular geoname. And to be mentioned that the shape files for the terrestrial uh, scheme for plant distributions are also hosted there, even if it's called marine regions. It has also a lot of uh, information regarding land. So my question, but we'll leave that for the end for the discussion, is would a reference to an external IRI with those fact sheets be acceptable as a definition? And then we are, if this is true, then we are all done. So to conclude, what did we achieve? Well, a complete proposal for both coastal and high sea, which is posted on the GitHub repository. We have prepared a paper describing the proposal. So, okay, we got ousted from diversity and distribution, so we're going to try another place. But it's completed and, well, it's going to get through anyway. And most of the GeoUnits we need are actually already implemented in the marine regions website, but we need to prepare some more to be complete. So if we go back to the big spreadsheet here, you'll see that most of them have already, and some of them say to be implemented, but it's a minority. And what we want to get from that, well, is a tool which will be, its primary use would be to display distributions in a standardized manner in worms and in other places. So this is what the map would look like if we're using this kind of units. And for Europe and West Africa, we mostly have them. It would be also a tool for data mining of literature for distributions, because Worms has always stayed away from trying to compete with GBIF and OBIS for mapping occurrence data, but instead we put the focus on literature published data, and that's often expressed like a country. So we have a means to go mining and recording those data in a single place. We have a good tool also for cross-checking the point data of GBIF and OBIS with the published data. So normally we have a display of OBIS occurrences with the little green dots, and the literature records with our polygons. And in a ideal world, was this should perfectly overlap, and it doesn't. So there are regions where there are records and OBIS has nothing, and there are places where OBIS has records and there are species not supposed to exist. So maybe those are misidentifications, and maybe those are places where nobody has put in the data, whereas they exist. So there is another use of this. And one of the main outcomes is that when this is completed, and supposedly when the data are correctly entered, just click on an interface and you get a complete list of marine species for a country. So we get a national or regional checklist. And this gives also the possibility to proceed to more general global analysis, which many of them claim to be grid-based, but they can also be GeoUnit-based, because very often those grid-based analysis has so many biases because the amount of data is so unequal everywhere. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show, but it's also a working session, so I would like advice about how do we proceed to that description, and also I'm open to questions from any of you. Okay, should I close my screen maybe?
No, no, leave it. Sorry. if we have to discuss
Okay,
on something. Yeah.
okay.
Do you employ like a categorization scheme for these marine
Excuse me?
regions? Do you employ a categorization scheme for these marine regions? Like, do you
What
categorize them in certain things?
what do you mean by categorizing?
Like, like for geopolitical divisions, you've got countries, states, counties, right? For marine regions, do you have some sort of scale where you're basically grouping these particular
Oh
marine
yes,
regions together?
yes. Marine regions has what they call place types.
Okay.
So EEZs are a place type. The Tadwig 4, Tadwig 3, Tadwig 2, Tadwig 1 terrestrial are each one a place type. And my intention is that all the marine recording units be a place type of their own, even if they are absolutely coincident with a country EEZ. That is, you can have different place types which are the same map, the same polygon, but they are different concept because one is political and the other is part of a current scheme.
How do you define the boundaries of your marine regions? Are you just reproducing published things, or do you have, like, obviously the coastline is one of the boundaries, right? How do you define the other boundaries of your marine regions?
2000 nautical miles.
Okay.
Even if it's not uh, even if it's not declared easy because that's too complicated. So uh,
So
because
your terms
the
are place
Mediterranean
names.
countries did not
Yeah.
declare EEZs, and some
Yeah.
places are, but we used Antarctica doesn't have an EEZ proper, but we still use the 200 miles limit.
So your terms are place names, basically, are geographic features. And you're asking about the
Yes.
definitions of those. Well, I mean, in my mind, your definitions are the shapes, are the features, right? You've defined a boundary, you've given it a name. I don't think you need
Well,
to do too much from there,
the easiest would be to have uh, the area described by this map, this shapefile or this map, because
Yeah,
we have shapefiles for everything.
which is awesome. And you've got publications too, which is great, like where they're published and things. So I mean, that's
Well, we're
you
going
know,
to publish it basically.
I don't think you need to do more of a definition than that, right?
I don't have a question, but I really appreciate the work you're doing. And I will say that I work with the Arctos, which is a collections management system used by collections in the US and elsewhere, but mostly US. And we will look forward to using this very much. We just been
I'm
through like
happy
two
to hear
years of
this.
talking about how to how to talk about places in the ocean. And we are using to some extent marine regions right now, but this will
Yes.
just help us. This will help a lot.
Yeah, marine regions has already a lot. What the only thing we're really missing is sensible subdivisions of the big
Right.
countries like Brazil and so on. So, if you put in Japan, I mean, it's terrible, or New Zealand. So these need to be split, and the default we are going to apply is that we intersect those huge EEZs with the marine ecoregions of the world. If there is not something else. So Australia, for instance, has an IMCRA. I didn't go into details in the talk, but they have polygons for the display of marine distributions in Australia. So why why go into trouble when you can just take this in? Europe has a regionalization that's called for a marine strategy framework directive, which has defined very sensible regions. So for Europe, the EU, we just take this in, and and then when there is nothing, I mean, Indonesia, Japan, the US, even I had some mail exchange. with I don't remember who it was, but and there doesn't seem to be official EEZs of the states, so uh, finally we'll wind up using MEOs also for well for all the large countries where there is no local recognized scheme.
If I were going to use a Darwin core term to populate these with, what would I use? Water body? Is that the
Uh,
closest?
Water body is not exactly the word because
Right?
they're always part of a water body.
Yeah. So is there not a Darwin core term that you would use to populate these? I mean, I can't think of anything else.
No, but in marine regions,
Yeah.
we have the possibility of multiple hierarchies. So whereas if we want to parallel the terrestrial Tadwick plant distribution, we have a pyramidal hierarchy. So it's oceans and then bioregions and then down. But in marine regions, a level 4 recording unit can be child of Mediterranean Sea, and it can be child of France nation, and it can be child of whatever we
Yeah.
want. And this can be multiple. So it's extremely flexible if we are hosted in marine region. Because from outside of our own hierarchy, we can get other ways to query and to group together the basic recording units. So important thing is that the basic recording units, the level 4 units, be detailed enough so that they don't bring too much noise inside.
Have you talked at all with GBIF about one of the problems we run into is GBIF has started using GADM for administrative terrestrial areas, which has been helpful, but then it really leaves out watery things. Um, and it would be great if in the future data publishers using nice standardized names for watery areas, ocean areas, if those were discoverable. Maybe that's down the road.
Uh, I think well our names are quite straightforward because the
Yeah.
country names plus EEZ, which is most of them. The only weird ones are those that derive from marine ecoregions of the world, because then when we subdivide a large country with MEOs, then we have that country slash the MEO, the corresponding MEO. But and then the open sea features, we are taking our names from the Gazetteer of Undersea Features of IHO. So Angola Basin, Mid-Atlantic Ridge, and the like.
Sorry, Erika, I didn't get what GBIF is doing now for terrestrial.
Well, you used to be able, when you searched GBIF a few years ago, if you put in, say, a state in a country, it wouldn't necessarily, if you only put the state in your data and then a user searched for the country, GBIF didn't know that the state was in the country. And now it's using a source called GATM, which Ben just, or Terry, somebody just put in the
Oh,
chat.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
And so it uh, creates a geographical hierarchy that data publishers can,
but
their data,
but
if they're not
but
high quality, can get plugged into.
but this is important because one of the main uses I plan for my project is being bounding boxes for
Yeah,
searching and
yeah.
searching point data and gathering managing point data. So uh, uh, this is always amenable in the future because we are using quite widespread names, and if there are some adjustments to be made, they probably can be made if needed.
I have to
Yes.
leave and start another meeting, but thank you so much. This was helpful.
No, well,
Yes,
thank
guys.
you for attending, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to show around our projects. And thank you for your attention. So just to
Yeah,
give you a taste of what is now here in Malaga, we are deeply immersed in the Holy Week.
I imagine.
And
Yes.
missing a few processions because uh,
Wow.
it's uh,
But
but
sorry to come back to work. Um, yes, I remember this Gadam. I had forgotten it because did not use it for a long time. But what is the rationale of JBIF for using that instead of the Tadwick standard?
I'll tell you. So, a couple things. It's standardized, and so like countries have multiple names, right? And so it's a mass data set where you can plug in a latitude, longitude, and get an entire geopolitical hierarchy the whole way. And it puts everybody using the same terms for those geopolitical hierarchy, same language, same thing. So it puts it in a structured manner. Um, it still takes in your state, province, country code, like that. It doesn't get rid of that. It just also appends the GATM information to the end of the data set. So it adds that hierarchy down. And that helps out interoperability between data sets if you're comparing geographic regions. And in fact, I just found this out today. So we were going through a data set and country gets dropped from the occurrence data set and country code is left because a country can have 10 different names, right? It depends on how you want to phrase it. But country code is universal language as well. And so they're trying to wrangle in geographic names of things, geopolitical divisions into one sort of structured vocabulary. And GATM is not perfect, but it's really the only globally, scoped data set that has everything. And it's open
So,
source and free to use and all that kind of
so
stuff.
you mean we would use GADAM to match the name that is in any data set to the Darwin core to the standard the geographic standard of the Tadwick.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I see.
But it's only for, terrestrial regions. It doesn't have anything to do with marine or any kind of water bodies. It's just, terrestrial
Yeah.
geopolitical
Yeah.
boundaries.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well. Yes, we have to deal with all these things for sure. Okay, okay. Serge, can you go back to you Andaman and Nicobar issue? I didn't get it really.
no, it's just an example.
Yes.
When we go to those external like Getty Thesaurus or GeoNames or whatever, they will have Andaman Sea with a centroid, but this is involves several countries and
Yeah.
it's not what we need. So marine regions has uh, it has Andaman Sea if we want it, but it also has the sea around Andaman Islands, which is what we want. And if we are not happy with that, we can subdivide it and make whatever geo units we want because uh, the advantage with marine regions is we have access to the data set, so we can complete the data set if we need some more recording units that are not there. And I think that the scope for perenniality or permanence of marine regions is not worse than any of the other suggested alternatives. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I
Um,
really the project would go forward if we have a place type geoschemes recording units in marine regions with the whole complete set of preferred geo units, and this will end up with those messy maps that we have right
oh,
now.
okay. So it's going beyond of the standard that we are proposing.
No, no,
I
no.
I don't see
The only
I
thing
miss
we have
something.
pending is the reference to this external source in marine regions
C'est qu'on peut
enough
parler
for a
en français
definition.
maintenant? On peut parler en français maintenant, il n'y a plus que nous.
Sauf que c'est toujours enregistré.
Ah, yes, sorry.
It depends. I can stop the recording and we.
You can
Mais-
censor some parts.
Yes, you can cut
Okay, I
it
think
down,
we-
I think.
Ok. Non, mais j'arrête l'enregistrement. Ou
Ouais,
je-
ouais, ouais.